Well, hello everyone. I hope everybody's having a good day. Just going to do a little video here going over the instructor's course information sheet for 211. Again, this is part of that first day of classes that we usually go over in class. I've got the video out on how to access D2L, some little things about that, and um, the course instructional package. And so this is just simply the follow-up with the instructor's information sheet in mind. So in case you don't know, I'm Mark Vandell. I'll be the tour guide for this semester's Insanity. And hopefully everyone knows, again, this is going to be mainly an online semester, that there will be some on campus things as of right now. And again, it's a very fluid situation. Things are changing pretty quickly. So as of right now, of me putting this together, we know that we will be on campus for the cumulative practical. We only have one practical this semester, and it will be the last, it'll be in the 9th week. And we'll go over that. Each section will have its own time, and even among the section there will be, I think they're looking at having 3 groups coming through. So that's the plan as of now. And again, I do see that on June 8th we will have it to where we can go on campus as far as little professors can go on and smaller groups. So we're going to see how it goes from there. But as of right now, we're going to be online, both lecture and lab. No lab is, by the way, no lab is meeting this week for sure. Nobody is coming onto campus. There is online assignments and online information for the lab. I covered that in the lab instructional sheet. Hopefully I did. And if I didn't, we'll make sure I get that covered. I believe I did. So anyway, this is the lecture sheet. So we're going to talk about lecture. Again, this is my information, Mark Vandell. This gives you my phone number. I will be going up to my office throughout the week. And anyway, even if you call that and I'm not there, it goes to my computer, which I'll have with me at all times, and I'll be able to get any messages. This is also my email address. Usually I try to stick with D2L, but D2L is a pretty limited email system. They have a very small storage unit, so it doesn't, we can fill that up pretty quickly, especially as a professor when I've got bunch of students emailing me things. So I'm going to use the WaveNet, and I've already sent things out, and as a matter of fact, I'm going to be sending this out through the WaveNet emails. This will talk about a little bit as far as office hours. Obviously, there's no set office hours because I'm not going to be in my office at any given time. I'm going to be there often, but as of right now, there's no set time. But I'm going to try to be where you can contact me online Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, as it says here, from 9 till 1. I'll try to make sure I'm there. I can't guarantee after 1. I've got a lot of other responsibilities going on. I will not be far from my computer, but during that time, I'm going to try to make sure I'm here. We've had some issues with Zoom, so we're trying to switch over to use Skype. The school has Skype set up on there, so I'm new to it. I'm hoping that tomorrow, today is Sunday, tomorrow being Monday, I'm hoping that I'll be able to send out something and be able to get the group. I've got 2 classes, 22 student classes. Hopefully I can get everybody, or as many people as I can, in a group, probably Tuesday or Wednesday, so we can go over some stuff and have some interaction where we can ask questions and whatever, go over a few other things. But we're going to work on that. I would like to, as the semester goes on, plan a time, the SO1 class that has the Monday lab. The Monday's supposed to meet 10 to 2. I'd like to have a recurring Skype session for that from 10 to 2 and be there, for the first hour for sure. If no one shows up, I'll close out. And the same for SO2. Your SO2 is scheduled to have a Thursday lab, quote unquote, from 12 to 4. Set up a recurring thing. So every week I've got a time where I can be, where we can have video chat or whatever at that time. That's the plan. But I tried to do that last semester as we went in, and had all kinds of issues. Again, Zoom was kind of a sketchy thing. And I think that the Skype is much more secure and whatever. So that's the plan. And again, those times aren't mandatory, but I think that it'd be good to have time where we could get together and, you can ask questions and stuff. This is the class schedule. It'll probably be pretty straight. I don't see it fluctuating a lot, because this is now, unfortunately, when I'm in lecture, I can kind of judge to see where my students are, if they're following me or not, and I can kind of work accordingly so that I can I can know, if someone needs more work in this area or not. So I've put out several videos of me going over the PowerPoints. I've already got most of the lab up. I'll be having, or the blood chapter up, and the blood lab is up. So that's there, so you can watch it whenever you want to. But this is how it's going to be right now as it's set up. So we'll have, test 1. I'll open it up, not this coming week, but the next week. It'll be due at the end of the week. So we're going to have this kind of fluid flow as we go through here. And this is the plan as of now. There's some of these, this is set up from the school. There's some of these that I'm thinking, well, that test 3, that's a lot of information. I might look at kind of spreading that out a little bit, but we'll go from there. Right now, this is the setup. This is kind of new. I will, as I've said on my other videos, I am not an online professor. So a lot of this, I'm learning just like you. I mean, I've had a crash course. I've learned probably 3 months worth of online procedures in the last 4 days, and I'm about tired of it almost. So I'm ready to get into it, because you don't know the pitfalls until you actually start doing things. So understand, just like you're kind of learning these new chapters, I'm learning how to teach online. So there's going to be a lot of mistakes I know that I will make. And I just want to make sure that I give you the best opportunity and put you at the best position to do well as I possibly can. So again, this is our basic outline, and we'll see. Hopefully it'll stay roughly the same. One of the things at the end, it says note, it's tentative to change. I mean, this is the legalese at the end of most documents, but what I will tell you, one of the parts here, it says, it talks about, looking for D2L. I will be using both D2L and WaveNet to try to make sure I communicate with you. Communication is going to be the key. It's easy to communicate when you are in person. You come to lab, I'll have people stay after or come early, and they'll ask questions and whatever. In this setup, I don't know what's going on. And so communication's a big deal. Please, please, please continually check your WaveNet email account and D2L, because I'm going to put news items to flash out there. They'll send out alerts to you that something's getting on, that something's been posted. And then again, WaveNet is how I'm going to mainly email you through it. I would say that there's an app called Brightspace or Pulse app that is tied to D2L, and anytime anything gets posted, especially a news item, it sends out an alert, keeps you up to date at what's going on. I kind of recommend downloading that app. So evaluation, required course assignments, not worried about that right now. Evaluation is talking about tests. As we go through here, it talks about tests. We are scheduled to have roughly 6 tests as it goes. And I just looked at that. I was going to say it's not 6, it's 5 actually. That's what the schedule is. On this, I do drop the lowest test grade. And so we'll see how that works. I do not give makeups, by the way, and on an online class, there shouldn't be any reason to have a makeup anyway, but we'll talk about that when we get there. But whatever the case may be, The way that this class is set up is very similar to 210. 75% comes from the lecture, which is mainly going to be lecture tests. And then you have with a 15% cumulative final, which by the way is not subject to dropping. The final exam is not a droppable test. And then 25% comes from lab. And in the lab video, we went over how lab breaks down. So don't worry about this assignments or quizzes. We'll talk about that when we talk about Connect. It really is going to be tests and then the final. That's going to be the lecture portion of the grade. As it says here, you're allowed to have a withdrawal. You can withdraw at any point in time during the semester. All you have to do is come talk to me. I can do it. You can't do it anytime during the semester, but I can. So if something comes up, look, and life happens, if something comes up, come talk to me and we can, figure out what's going on, what would be the best course of action for you. Sometimes you just need to talk to somebody. It's not necessarily a drop thing. Course policies, classroom decorum, again, and I've said this on multiple other videos, my big thing is two things, attitude and respect, and not necessarily in that order, but they're tied together. It is a maxim through pretty much all of the religions of the world and just straight philosophy. You get what you give, you reap what you sow. There's a lot of different ways that it's said, but that's the truth. And so if you want respect, you have to give respect. Now, I give you all the respect in the world. There is very little difference, honestly, between myself and most of the students outside of age. But there was a time when I was in your position, when I was taking a class and I didn't, hadn't taken it before and didn't know. And so I was a student. The only difference between me and my students is time and opportunity. I'm a little older than y'all, most of y'all, and I have been able to take classes and learn this. And, so time and opportunity, the only thing that's really separating us. So I respect y'all and I give you all the respect I can. Now, I don't ask you to respect me. I don't demand it, but I would want it. Now, I will treat you very similar to the way you treat me. I'm going to end up being a mirror of the attitude of the class, really. And so not only do I ask you to respect, show respect to me, but simply more than just me, show respect to the other students and students around you. Now we're on an online situation, so it's not like we're going to be in class, but if I am able to have these little online meetings, if people start acting up, I will kick you out of the class. I'll put mute on and I have the ability to bar you from the meeting. So again, I don't foresee that happening, but I'm just letting you know that that's the way it is. Hopefully everything will be fine. Most of my classes, I very rarely ever have problems. Everything goes really smoothly. So this is just a little bit of the classroom decorum. It really is about respect and attitude, because you control your attitude. I want to send out a little, it's a poem basically about attitude, and it is so spot on because most people let their attitude control them instead of them controlling their attitude. So if you really, most people go through life looking just miserable because they let their attitude get them. Control your attitude. You might start off feeling blah, but if you try to force yourself to kind of be happy, you'll find out that happiness will just come in and it'll exude. And I'm telling you, attitude is more contagious than Ebola. So that's for another little video. So we'll talk about that, excuse me, then. So moving on, we talk about attendance in this class. Attendance, both lecture and lab, is very important. That's going to be monitored very closely by the school. Our attendance policy in lecture is, in lecture, you can miss 2 weeks. If you miss a third week, you're automatically dropped, no matter what. In lab, you can miss 1 week. If you miss a second week, you're automatically dropped. So the way it is I'll have attendance quizzes for both lecture and lab that will be due Saturday at noon. Once that closes out, they're done. If you didn't do it, it's a 0 and an absence. Now, the big thing is in lecture, when we have tests, like major tests, pretty much every other week we're going to have a lecture test. Excuse me. the lecture test will count as your attendance. So just to let you know, and I mean, I'll do my best to make sure everybody is very aware of what's going on. As I said, no makeup policy, especially now that we're online. There's no excuse. You're going to have several days to be able to take these tests. And so if you just forgot or something happened, there's no excuse. But I do drop the lowest test grade, the lowest semester test grade. Again, final is not droppable. All right. So testing procedures, again, this is going to be talking about, so we're online. Here's a big thing. Pretty much across the board, and I believe I mentioned this in a previous video, across the board, there was over a 1-letter grade jump in everybody's grades after we went online last semester. And this isn't just for our school, this is across the nation. And so the school is cracking down very hard. And for people who are slow test takers, I hate to inform you of this, but right now they had told us that the max amount of time is 40 seconds per question, which is plenty of time, but most people like to review and go over and go over and go over. And what happens is people are using their books and people are using notes and whatever else. And so this semester, I am not allowed to have anything over a 40-second window for every question. And I'm sorry if that's going to bother people. If you have an issue with that, you can email me for sure. No big deal, but there's nothing I can do. If you want to email the department chair, Christina Feber, that is fine. And actually, it's even above, it's well above her head that these decisions are being made. So it's the way it is. I'm hoping, honestly, that as the semester moves on, that we will be able to meet in a lecture, at least for the tests, where you can come in and take a paper test. And, because they're talking about now, the school's even offering to spend the money to get what's called Respondus lockdown browsers. That's a thing that you put on your computer where somebody watches you. They take over your video to watch you take the test. Which is what a lot of online classes do, because it's look, last semester, I think I had one person that made a C. I think I had I had 9 classes. And again, I'm not saying that anybody necessarily cheated. I think that y'all are all great students, but it is pretty odd when everything jumps like that. And again, it's not just our class. It is not just our school, it was across the nation. And so that's just a few things I would want to tell you. So that's the testing procedures. I hate it. I don't like the way it all works out. I don't like I wouldn't want someone taking over my webcam, but that's, it might go down to where that's it. You either take this class, that's the rules for the class. So as we go on, the first test isn't going to be like that. In my lecture tests are probably going to be on Connect. That's where I want them to be, unless the school tells me differently. That's where I'm going to have it. And you'll know well in advance when it gets there. And we'll talk about Connect here in just a minute. So assignments and quizzes, there's going to be a Connect assignment for each chapter. And it's not an attendance assignment. It's going to be for each chapter. Now, the first test is going to cover 2 chapters. Right, it's going to be 14 and 15, I believe. Now I'm, going a little bit sideways in my brain right now. Trying to learn all this stuff's got me confused on a lot of ways. Yep, 14 and 15 is planning to be the first test. So I'm going to have an assignment open for each one of those chapters. It's going to take about an hour, anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half is the time limit I'm going to set it up on. And it is what they call a Learn Smart assignment. It is not necessarily a quiz and it's not a test. It's basically homework. And as you're going through and answering the questions, it will start tailoring questions towards your weakest point. And you will see how it kind of modifies it. So it'll be different for everybody. And there's no grade for it. However, it will be added, there will be points added to the test that those chapters are for. So for instance, the first test is planning to be 14 and 15, like I said. So I'm going to have a Connect assignment for both 14 and 15. Again, a little over an hour each on those. If you complete them, because that's all it is, a completed or non-completed, and I can see it shows me everything on there. Attempts, it shows me how long you've been on. It actually, I've had students that have gotten online and just set it online and walked away and then said, oh, I was on and it didn't give me a complete. I can see what you do. All right. So it's just a complete or a non-complete. Now there are times when Connect messes up, and if it does, you know, look, I'm not an authoritarianism. Authoritarianism, that guy. I'm not a dictator. Anyway, if it looks like there's something, I'll be able to see it, and of course I'll give you credit for it. But you will get 5 points added to your lecture test if you complete the assignments. And it's not 5 points per chapter, it's 5 points total. So if it's one chapter, and so there's one Connect assignment, it's 5 points for that one. If there's 2, like the first one, it's 5 points for both of them. So if you only do one, I'll probably give you 3 points. If you do both of them, you'll get 5. If you do neither one of them, you get 0, all right? So that's the way it is worked into the grade. It is going to be for bonus on the test. 5 points is half a letter grade. That's a pretty big deal. So that's the way I run the Connect. And again, for the Connect assignments, those little lecture or chapter assignments. Now, lab, we talked about lab technology. I mean, this is an online class. I'm going to put links up in the D2L content that gives links to SSTC Center and the Tech Central. The SSTC Center is great with tutoring and whatever. The Tech is where you would call if you're having computer issues. If you're having any issues with Connect, Connect has a wonderful helpline and help department. And you can call them, and they're really good about helping. If you email me about Connect, I will try my best to help you, but I will tell you that I probably wouldn't be the go-to person for that. But I mean, I would try. Don't get me wrong. Academic dishonesty. You know, we were talking about this. The school is really there's a lot of people across the nation in schools that are very upset by the way things happened last semester with the grades being inflated. Look, do your best. Again, I talked about this in another video. Cheating, you know, and it sounds like such an old school, you know, it's just people just trying to make you feel bad. If you cheat, all you do is cheat yourself, but it's the truth, because all of this material is foundational material. If you don't get this, you know, you might have an A, but if you don't get this and you don't understand this material, when you move forward, it will come back to bite you and bite you bad, right? So you have to know this material, especially if you're using it to take other classes, because this is the foundational material for the nursing program. This is a big foundational stuff for all of the programs. So anyway, that's, you know, don't cheat. Really, honestly, if you do your best, if you honestly try your best, you'll be surprised. And if you really work at something, it doesn't matter. You know, if I bust my butt and do the best I can, and honestly know I'm doing the best I can, and I don't make the grade, man, I don't feel bad one bit, because I know that just means that I can't do it. And there's a lot of things that we can't do. I hate the phrase, you can do anything you put your mind to. That's not true at all. You can try to do anything you want to, but we can't do. I mean, I'm never going to, no matter how much I want to be a professional basketball player or a jockey, I'll never be one right now. I wanted to be an astronaut when I was growing up. Got distracted by other things. Then I wanted to be a baseball player, got distracted by other things. But both of those I probably could have never, well, anyway, you know, you get my drift. Do your best. When you try your best, you end up owning your life. When you don't, you give part of it away, especially if you cheat. Anytime you cheat, you give authority to somebody else as a part of your life. So be careful of that. And that's the end of it. Wow, I did not realize that was the end of it. So what I want to do now is I want to look at, really quickly, I want to look at the Connect. So you do not have to buy anything for Connect. Connect is its own little baby. And I'll tell you what, on that note, I'm going to stop because I'm going to have Connect as its own separate video. So I hope everybody's doing well. Take care, and I look forward to this semester starting and us having a great experience. Have a good day.